What's going on, guys? It's your boy the Markham Knight here. Today's video is going to be all about Joker Folie, and this is going to be a full spoiler review. For those of you who have not watched the movie and want to do so, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could definitely do that and then come back and check this out. Otherwise, I am going to get right into it. I hated this movie. I thought this movie was an absolute train wreck, and this is coming from someone who really loved the first Joker movie. Stuff that I loved about the first Joker movie was it worked as an origin story for the Joker, but at the same time it left Joker in Arkham Asylum wondering and thinking about what had happened, and you don't know necessarily if that actually happened or if it's all in his head. And one of the best lines of the Joker in any medium is when he talks about his origin and says, "I would rather it be multiple choice." And I thought that was awesome because where we left the Joker after the first movie, you didn't know if it actually happened or if it was just one of the stories that he had created in his head. Well, Joker 2 confirms everything in the first movie did happen, and it continues right from there in Arkham Asylum, and the entire movie is about his trial and trying to get out from prison. We don't ever get to see him actually get out of prison. None of the movie takes place outside of the actual thing that is a real story that's actually happening in there. It is all taking place in the prison and in corrections and in the court. And like I said, I didn't really like the narrative at all in this movie, but let's talk about just a couple of positives before I kind of get right into what I didn't like about the movie. Joaquin Phoenix still does a great job acting. He continues right from where he left off in the first Joker movie. It feels like a direct continuation, and his acting is always on point. And there are some other good acting moments and stuff like that in the movie, but the direction of the movie was terrible, and where they took it and where the storyline went. Also, the cinematography is still beautiful. New York City as Gotham looks fantastic. It is very well done, and I watched it on IMAX at the fan first screening, so it looked beautiful. Those were the only two positives I can take out of this whole thing, and that's going to tell you why my review of this movie is that it gets a 3 out of 10 for me, because of those two positives, because they were really, really big for me. Otherwise, I would have given this movie a 1, maybe even a 0. It was terrible. I really did not enjoy it. The first thing is the narrative that the whole thing is about the trial. I personally would have liked the trial to have ended a little sooner, but the whole thing was about the trial, and then they wasted Harley Quinn or Lady Gaga's character potential on this. Lady Gaga's character, Harley Quinn, is essentially just a fangirl who's obsessed with the kind of celebrity of the Joker and what he did, and she's kind of obsessed with that factor. Otherwise, she is not a psychiatrist. She's not anything we know of Harley as a person and what we've known from her in the comic books and stuff. They don't really utilize that at all. They just kind of slap the Harley Quinn label on her. This could have been any fangirl named anything and didn't have anything to do with Harley, but it is somebody who the Joker falls in love with, and this version of Joker falls in love with Harley primarily because he's lonely. So this is the first person who's given him any attention. So if you're going to talk about potential plot points, this could have been a direction that they go in. Personally, I would have had the trial take place maybe for like 30 to 40 minutes, and then Harley breaks him out of the trial and breaks him out of jail, and then they kind of go on a rampage. And even if you wanted to keep the idea that she's manipulating him, you could have done that, and then have him kind of fight back or do something to kind of, just something a little more interesting than what actually happened. What actually happened was he determined that the Joker is not real, and the Joker is just kind of an extension of him, and that's just who he is, and he's a lonely person, and he wants to commit suicide. And guess what? The movie ends with him actually committing suicide, which was a trash ending. With that being said, they tried to be cute about it. The same joke that he told Robert De Niro's character in the first movie is the joke that this other person in the asylum told him, and then stabbed him to death. Awful ending, but the good thing is we won't get any more Joker movies. They've already kind of left a bad taste in your mouth after this one, so I'm kind of happy that Todd Phillips isn't doing anything more with this. And Todd Phillips as a director, we already know he has a bad history with sequels, because he did The Hangover 2, which was awful, Hangover 3, which was also awful. He doesn't do well with sequels, and this felt like it was a complete cash grab. And then in terms of the musical aspect of it, I'm not a big fan of musicals, but I didn't mind musicals. Like, if you look at something like Wizard of Oz, or I haven't watched too many musicals, but if you look at West Side Story or Wizard of Oz, then you know that the musical aspect is supposed to advance the story. The musical aspect in this movie was completely wasted. If you took out all the musical elements and every musical piece that was in this, it would probably actually be a better movie. The whole musical aspect was basically him in his head and in his dreams. There was a stupid cartoon at the beginning of it where they kind of tell Joker that there's a cartoon about him, and you watch this cartoon and it's just a waste of time and it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't advance the story at all. And the movie started with Joker in jail and it ends with Joker getting killed in jail. So it's a complete waste, and he was supposed to have been executed anyway. They were seeking the death penalty. He is found guilty. He ends up leaving jail. They do break him out, and you think maybe the story's gonna get a little bit interesting, but Harley kind of says she loved the Joker, she didn't love him, so she was in love with his celebrity, and that's it. That's the entire point of the movie, which was terrible. This was not a good movie. It was not well done in any way, shape, or form. The acting is still good, but the direction the actors are given are awful. Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn's a complete waste. And I don't really see any reason why this movie should have even existed. This movie was a complete cash grab, and that is it. Anyways, guys, did you watch the Joker, Folie, Deux? And if you did, tell me what you think. This is the Markham Knight, and I need you to like, comment, and subscribe.